To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave para peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Sean Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted home, my very haunted home, where I live. And it has been active today, and I know exactly why it has been because of my guest. And you all know who she is. That's why you tuned in. We all love her and respect her, and she's in the green room. I will get right to her ASAP. First, I would like to give a quick shout out. Um, my co-producer Zach, he heads up a kids club called the Cub Club, and it's a special club where kids help other kids that need help, raise money for other kids that need help. And one of his cubs, Savannah, is having surgery tomorrow. So Zach and I would like to ask each and every one of you to please keep Savannah in your prayers tonight. Thank you very much. God bless you, Savannah. I will put you on the prayer list later, okay, at night prayer. On that note, let's check the prayer urn. KJ from Oregon. I just had a family member pass away. Okay, I'm so sorry. Um, we were glad he found Jesus at the end. Would you pray for him? His name is William. Oh, absolutely. And I may not pull that prayer request out of the urn a lot live on air here, but I get that request a lot. And reason being is why I keep this special prayer right here to offer up for the dearly departed. So we will do that. In the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Remember, Lord, those who have died and have gone before us, marked with the sign of faith, especially those for whom we now pray. May these and all who sleep in Christ find in your presence light, happiness, and peace. To Christ our Lord. Amen. You didn't ask for this, Kay, and I don't have one handy, but after the show, I will light a candle for William, and that will burn in the room with all the other candles that are burning for prayer requests. And that candle will burn for William until it gets done burning. So if you want to talk about things, reach out to me. Okay, let's check the mailbag. Alice K. from New Jersey. I'm a Catholic. Well, good for you. I love Halloween and oh, I already know what's coming with this one. I love Halloween and love to celebrate it. Is it okay as a Catholic to do that? It's all in the intent. If you're a Catholic also into the occult, which I doubt you are, Halloween can take on a completely different twist. I love Halloween, and I have celebrated Halloween all my life, decorating the house, handing out candy to the kids, dressing up a time or two as Jason and standing behind a tree with a real chainsaw and jumping out at kids back in the day. That has evolved into something completely different since we've been living in this haunted house for over 20 years. Enough weird things have happened here over the years that kids just don't come trick or treating here any longer. Um, so we don't really celebrate it any longer. But I don't. I personally, in my humble opinion, and colleagues of mine may disagree. I don't think there's anything wrong with celebrating Halloween in a healthy, of love and light type of way to celebrate Halloween, if that makes sense. But then again, like anything, even Halloween can be perverted into something else. Um, you know what? I'm going to leave this question out because I'm going to ask my very special guest tonight what she thinks about that question. Because I'm thinking of a case I worked once that ties right into being fanatically over the top into Halloween and that may or may not have had a reason for the issues. Brothers and sisters, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. When you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see, but remember, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation to our ministry. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, and I'm almost embarrassed to hold up my book, my one book, when my guest tonight's. I lost count how many wonderful books she has out there. We'll talk about that. But you'll find my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help some of the neediest children on the planet, along with the animals too. How cool is that? And I guess I don't feel so bad. I have another book coming out. This is a great time to get the first book because you can get all caught up and be ready for God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist, coming out next month in November. So you can get my book at my website, and it comes autographed, enclosed in a house blessing kit, or you can get it a little less expensive on Amazon. Scroll a little further down on that page, you'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college-level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ who feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course at the website. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, go to the Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, and you can read more about the course. And again, if you want to talk to me about the course, if it's right for you, you can reach out to me, and we'll talk about it. All righty. Moment of truth, the reason why you all tuned in. I love her. I respect her. She's my favorite paranormal author in the world. She also heads up one of the most popular in the country haunted tours in her neck of the woods. TV, radio, film personality, and on and on and on. Brothers and sisters, please welcome to the show the one and only JONI MAYHAN.
Wow, thank you. I hope I live up to that.
There's no living up to. It's me that has to live up to you. When I was reaching for my book, I'm like, I was almost embarrassed to hold up my one book. What's the latest count? How many books do you have out now?
24.
And each one, good job, Zach. He's rubbing it in. There you go, Rev. Yeah.
And that's not all of them in that picture. That's just the ones that fit on the screen.
And I've talked to so many people that have read a lot of your work, and they just get better and better and better. I know you probably have some of your personal favorites, but everybody loves your writing. You've been so successful. I'm very jealous. So what else do I want to say to you? I do have a few questions here. I didn't really, I never know what you and I are going to talk about, so I don't really over prepare for you. And I also know that some of your friends and family and followers are going to send me in questions, which they did. So we can do that. And trust me, you can take the show over and tell us some scary ghost stories since we're in the Halloween season. Do whatever you want to do. The show's yours. But let me start by asking you, everyone knows you're a medium, and in addition to all your other talents. They know you're a medium. And I wasn't going to ask you this, but I'm going to ask you it now because I'm sensing that I should ask. Sometimes my house is so calm before a show. Sometimes not so much. My dream catcher is still right now. It's right about there, hanging from my ceiling. It seems to be quiet right now. But right before you checked in early for our audio and video check before the show, it was going, and I could sense that there was a raise in the activity today, and I just blew it off as well. It's Joni. Now, whatever you're able to or not able to tap into right now, do you think the activity is your ghost posse coming here to visit to say, hey, we're here with Joni? Or do you think it's my ghost posse here excited for your appearance tonight?
It might be a little bit of both. I noticed something popped in here as soon as we got on the phone together or on camera. So I'm wondering if your ghosts are coming over here to check me out, like looking around, like, all right, I think she's okay. Like they're, vetting me for you.
Well, guess what? You and I talked about how wonderful your signal was coming in from the whole time we talked. 15 minutes we talked, no issues. And as soon as we started talking about your ghosts, he started freezing up a little bit and delayed on the audio. So I'm just going to throw it out and let everybody know now. That sort of things, a lot of people sometimes say, they don't believe that spirit can manipulate electronics. I'm here to say, well, again, in my humble opinion, I've experienced many, many occasions where spirit did indeed manipulate the electronics. So, isn't it funny how we started talking about them and we started having some weird little issues? So, just let everybody know, giving everybody a heads up that might happen on and off, and it's just their way of letting us know that they're here, and I'm cool with it. I don't like to rock the boat. Whatever they want to do. I unless it's something, and you can relate, unless it's something of a more malevolent nature that needs to be addressed in a different way. I'm a big fan of live and let live, lit and let die, the dead live on. I have spirits here that aren't scary. Some are in visitation, some are attached before we even got here, I think. But I don't rock the boat. Of course, I'm different if something shows up that shouldn't be here. But otherwise than that, I don't really rock the boat. How do you handle? You're like that mosquito light on the back porch at night for spirit. So how do you approach it? How do you handle all the spirits that are attracted to you, that are in your home, around you, that are just disembodied human spirits hanging around for whatever reason? What's your approach to that? How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm a ghost magnet, as you said. So I always have something with me. Something has followed me home. And yeah, ghost magnet. There it is. And that's kind of my story about my experience. And it's a lot of, just different stories, scary, some funny. But something always is here. And I don't have to leave the house for them to come in. They just show up. They can find me through phone calls. I know I was co-hosting a podcast for a while, and every week I had a new ghost that was coming in through the other guest. So if it's just a human spirit and it doesn't want anything other than just to hang out, I'm okay with that. I don't acknowledge them. I just ignore them because I don't really give them any energy or I don't want them sticking around any longer than they have to. But if it's a malevolent spirit, and I can feel those definitely. I just get that fight or flight instinct, and I know that it's something that I don't want to deal with. And I call my shaman friend Michael Robichaud, and he takes care of it for me.
Next time you talk to Michael, tell him I said hi.
I will.
Um, you know what? I purchased something from Michael back in the day, which has come in handy a time or two. He sent me a beautiful smudging fan with some holy water and
Hmm.
a variety of other items. Very, very cool gentleman, knowledgeable in his field, and that's you're lucky to have someone like him to be able to reach out to help with the types of things you would need him for help with, which is very, very cool. My two older sisters, they knew how hard it was for me when I lost when we lost our parents. And my sisters know me, and they're like, "Don't conjure, let them rest in peace." So,
Hmm.
having said that, I'm a lot like you. Uh, I don't really address the non the the human spirits here because you're right. When you give that energy, then they tend to stick around longer and get even more active because even that thought gives that energy. But they say when it comes to my parents, they say don't conjure. So I don't. And it's kind of like I liken it to like my day job as a veterinary technician. Doctors don't want me in there assisting. If I bring my dog in for surgery, they don't want me in there assisting them operating on my dog. Why, I don't know, but that's just always been that kind of rule. Although I have done it a time or two, but they don't really like to do that. So I think when it comes to conjuring extremely close friends who are almost like family or family members, parents, people like that are that close to you in your bloodline family bubble, I do think that it's different to conjure them um, than it is to just like if you're into the Ouija board or into having seances or you go to a haunted location that maybe a loved one of yours is haunting. I do believe that your loved ones shouldn't be conjured. And I'm going to ask you your opinion on that. Having said that, just the reason why I'm in the seminary right now was a bishop that I met out of the blue walks into a trailer I was sitting in and starts talking to me. Says, I never do this, but I can tell you have a pure heart and you would make a great priest. Have you ever thought about the priesthood or the United States Old Catholic Church? And we have a seminary. While he's doing this, I'm seeing my mother's face on his face, and I'm hearing her voice coming through his mouth. I wasn't shocked. I was really just planted with I don't know if my face was doing this, but that's what I felt like I was doing as this was happening because my mother used to always joke with me growing up. One day you're going to do something great for God. Do you know what you want to be when you grow up? Probably, I would say dumb things like a football player or a cop or a fireman. She would go, no, have you ever thought about being a priest? And I would just laugh, thinking, my mom's a bit of a whack job. Um, and so now, 63 years later, look what happens. So tell us all your feelings on the conjuring of loved ones or being contacted by your loved ones, and if you've ever experienced any of that type of stuff.
Well, I none of my loved ones are haunting anything. All my loved ones have crossed over, and they do come back in spirit at times, but they're more like guides, more like helpers, and I definitely feel them from time to time. My grandma, I called her Nanny. She's been with me. She died when I was like 6 years old, I believe, and she's been with me all my life. And I've actually had some instances where she saved my life. And, I hear her from time to time. She's the one that keeps me on my game. Like if I'm goofing off too long, I'll hear her voice in my head. You need to get off of Facebook and get to work on your book. And I'll hear it over and over again. If I just ignore her, then my internet goes out. So she's she has some control over some things. I had a sister who passed away just a few years ago, and I've been waiting for her to come back. And I feel like maybe she's been guiding me in other ways, like little things. Like I was heading into the next town over to go grocery shopping, and there was a little bit of a limb under my windshield wiper blade. And something told me, you need to stop and remove that. You need to stop and remove that. And normally I would have waited till I got to the grocery store because it wasn't raining. I didn't need my wipers. But I stopped right at the edge of where I was going to get on the highway. and took it out. And then as I started to go, a state policeman went by, and chances are I would have been speeding through that area. So, she might have saved me a speeding ticket, so it's like, so I pay attention to things like that. And, it's such a strong nudge. It was not from me. I don't know who was sending it, but, it could have been my sister. I don't know. So yeah, I do believe something else could pretend to be that sister. I think that's true in a haunting. Like if you're, I don't know. For me, I'm a medium, so I feel them, and I hear them as well. I'm clairaudient, so that is my gateway. So first of all, I hear a tone, and if it's a ghost, which I associate with earthbound spirits that haven't crossed over, they just chose to be earthbound. It's more like a static sound. It's like a lower vibration. And females are a higher pitch, males are a lower pitch. And if it's a spirit guide or a loved one who's passed over that's coming to visit, it's a really high crystalline sound. It's just a pure, like what you think of with ear ringing. It's a pure pitch. And I can't really identify where they are in the room, but with a ghost, I can tell you where they're standing just by where I'm hearing the sound. But I don't believe that what I identify as a spirit that comes, a loved one, could be pretending to be something else, because I have, other ways of knowing that. As far as a haunting, yeah, when we go and we investigate, I don't take anything at face value. There's been many times when I'm hearing a male tone and it's not one that I like, it's one that makes me want to, kind of head for the door. Um, a little girl's voice will come across, like the spirit box or the dowsing rods or whatever. And I'll say, well, there's either two of them here or one of them's pretending to be somebody else. So, I mean, we keep our guard up pretty much all the time when we're investigating. We don't ever really relax and, lean into it too much, because you don't know what's there.
Absolutely. I would imagine, I'm not going to assume. Every time I assume something, I'm always wrong. But I would imagine being gifted, spiritually gifted like you, psychically gifted like you are, it's the whole ghost hunting, ghost busting, paranormal investigating thing. It takes on a different life, so to speak. For you personally, I mean, do you get into seances or Ouija boards, or do you have any big do's and big don'ts that you personally, that are Joni's ghost rules?
You could ask my team. I've got a lot of rules. I have some control issues. But no, I do not use Ouija boards. And I see so many people blasting it on Facebook. There's no difference between a Ouija board and a spirit box. And I digress, because this, with a Ouija board, they have to go through you to move the planchette. And so they have to control your hands, or one of your hands. With all other devices, pretty much they can move on their own. And plus, I've just heard too many people that have had really bad experiences from Ouija boards. So I'm not, I've got other ways of knowing who's there. I'm not going to play with something that I'm uncertain about. And as for seances, no, I've never done one. Not the kind you see on TV, I wouldn't be opposed to attending one, though. I'm kind of intrigued by it. But, what difference is a seance from a paranormal investigation? We usually sit in a circle, and, we ask questions all the way around. The way I do it is we take turns asking questions, and we go clockwise. So, I don't know what the difference is. One of us may be feeling something, but I typically don't say much when I'm doing an investigation. Like if we've rented some kind of old asylum or something, I'm using the equipment. I may tune in. If I feel something I don't like, I'm definitely going to direct people out of that room. We were at the Indiana State sanitarium up in Rockville, Indiana, and it used to be an old TB hospital, but there's a nursing home on site as well. But there's an old building that was like the tool shop or the machine shop. It's where the coal came in and the big gears turned it and fired up heat for the whole place. And there was one room way back in the back of it, and I was there with my friend Tracy and Donna, and then we had two other friends there with us, Lisa, and Lisa has a service dog, and he's trained for when she has seizures. And we walked into that room, and Tracy, who has nerves of steel, nothing ever affects her. She's the first one in the dark place. When we do public events, she always insists on being the cellar dweller, so she has to be in the basement. She immediately kind of took a step back, and she goes, I don't like the energy in here. And I looked down, and the service dog, Harvey, had got on his hind legs and put him on my leg and was looking at me with pleading eyes, like he identified me as maybe the leader of this group. I don't know, but I reached down to pet him and comfort him, and he was trembling.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, if the bravest person I know doesn't like it and the dog doesn't like it, we need to turn around and get out of here. So, and then I started feeling it as well. But sometimes I think I'm definitely blocking myself, so I'm not pulling things in or feeling things, just from previous experience of having some, negative entities follow me home. But, in short.
It's interesting. You said something, and I have never heard that before. All these, I've known about Ouija boards all my life. I don't use them. I do have some here that I've bound and that I keep away. I believe that my wife and I had a very bad experience attached to a Ouija board, which resulted in us having something really unpleasant here for like 8 weeks, and my wife was basically the target of that attack. I don't use them anymore. I don't judge people. I don't tell people they should or shouldn't use them. I like to tell people, of my experiences. Take from them what you will. But I'd never heard anybody talk about how the spirit comes through you to move the planchette. I just always assumed the spirit grabs a hold of the planchette and moves them. I had never heard that or even thought about that, which now opens my eyes to a whole new reality as to why so many people reach out to me with issues. And when I start peeling the layers away and talking to them about their issues, sure enough, somewhere floating around there's a Ouija board that they've used. So that's one thing I wanted to say, first of all. Second of all, because you are a medium, I want to ask you this. Why would some non human spirits who in life were just normal people, maybe they were Catholic, maybe they were Jewish, maybe they were non denominational, but were God fearing, but just, not bad people, didn't do anything bad, and happen to have get hit by a car or die in a car accident or have a factory work accident and lose their life. Why do some of them, I know why some bad ones stick around. They fear judgment. Um, why do some of the other ones, why would you want to spend eternity at the factory where you lost your life when I believe they see the light? I believe that they weren't a bad person, so they're not fearing judgment. I believe that they see their spirit guides and their guardian angels. Why do some of them, in your humble opinion, choose to stick around?
Well, I think there could be a variety of reasons for that. And we actually see that a lot here in New Harmony when we do our ghost walks. A lot of the buildings, they're just normal people. There's nothing negative. Well, there's a couple negative ones, but they're all human spirits that just chose to stay. And I think in some cases, this is heaven on earth to them. They love their home. They want to stay and watch over their family. They don't want to go anywhere because they're quite happy where they are. Others may be worried about, maybe they did something that they perceive as bad and they're going to be judged when they get to heaven. And so they're afraid of that judgment. We see a lot of people, the suicides, they often, in my opinion, stay earthbound. And, we try to work with that. A lot of locations we go to, I can help them cross over. It's one of my gifts. And I try often, and I kind of know they give me a signal when they want to be crossed over. And so once I get that signal, then I'll immediately start going into it. And Most of them don't. They're completely fine. They're happy where they are. They enjoy watching the people come through, and they probably enjoy my ghost walks because for so long nobody was paying any attention to them. Now they're like the stars of the show. They're getting that celebrity uh, fascination about them. But I think it's a lot of reasons. I think most people go right over at the time of death. I don't think that it's even a thought. They just pass over. And others, they just balk. They're not ready to go. Maybe it was a sudden death. Maybe somebody murdered them and they want to, or maybe they want to get information to somebody. And then the longer they're here, I think the more they get disconnected with who they were and why they stuck around. I think they get more attached to their last important emotion. If they were angry when they died, they may be hanging on to that anger, and that's where we get the grumpy ghosts. And a lot of times we go in and we just do counseling. It's like like it's a person, which it is. It's just a person. In my mind, it's a person without a body. And we'll go in and we'll talk to them. We'll tell them God loves them. They're welcome in heaven. Look for the white light, call to your relatives, ask them to help you through. You're welcome. There's not an elevator down for you. You can go to heaven. And sometimes that helps. I was called in to an inn that was having a negative haunting in one of the rooms. And I went in and immediately got the nudge. It was a negative one, but I got the nudge that he wanted to cross over. And I hardly had to say a word to him. I just crossed him over and they haven't had any problems since. So, it just depends on who they were in life and how ready they are to go. And I don't know.
In addition to all of your wonderful books, I want to make sure everybody knows www.JONIMAYHAN.com. All your books and a lot of other things are there too. But you mentioned your ghost walks. I believe it's Haunted New Harmony Ghost Walks.
Yes, it is.
You've been doing that forever, and I've talked to people that have been on that love it.
Oh, wow.
Say it's unlike any that they've been on, and they are like fanatical about that. So for the person who's not, okay, if he's a real ghost hunter or a ghostbuster or a paranormal investigator, fine. But just for the regular old, person that happens to just maybe be passionate about the paranormal, likes a good scare from time to time, finds himself traveling through your neck of the woods there, and decides that they're going to take your haunted walk, your haunted ghost tour. What can they expect?
Well, they can expect to be entertained. Everybody walks away smiling. It's rare that somebody doesn't have a good time. It's such a mixture. I'm passionate about the history of this town and the people that lived here. There's a couple ghosts that I identify with, and I tell their story because I feel they got a raw deal in life. And so I'm going to talk about that, and then I'll talk about the haunting. And you never know what's going to happen. We actually we have a new walk, so I have two ghost walks now. The town is so haunted, I was able to carve out two separate ghost walks in the same town. And the new one is called the Dark Side Ghost Walk. And that's really because it goes in the dark side of town where there aren't a lot of street lights. So it is a little creepier.
Yeah.
I really think that when you're a little bit afraid, that energy you're sending off brings in energy, like they're aware of you. They're like, ooh, we got one scared. Let's go, But we've got an ongoing story happening that keeps evolving, and we're just kind of scratching the surface of it. But one of the locations, we know that there's a little girl ghost there. And we know that because they called us in to do an investigation because things were happening there and it was frightening them. And it's actually called the Green Gothic, the building is. And it was built in 1860. And it's now home to the New Harmony Inn's wedding planning events building. So it used to be a house, and now they're using it for that. And we got in and we were doing, we went in and did our investigation, and we use a variety of equipment. We were using a spirit box, and we were hearing a man's voice, a woman's voice, and a little girl's voice. And we knew who the man and the woman were, but the little girl, that was new to us. And as we're sitting there, someone was behind us with an SLS camera. And I'm sure you're familiar with SLS cameras. If your viewers aren't, it's a camera that shows the stick figures. If there's a ghost there, it'll show up as a stick figure. Well, it was mapping me out in the chair. It was mapping out Tracy, who was sitting on the floor. And then in between us popped up a very small stick figure. And we were kind of interacting with her a little bit. And then all of a sudden she disappeared. And we were trying to get her to come back and trying to talk to her. And all of a sudden, from behind us, we heard paper rattle. And then we heard, "Rawr," like a little kid trying to scare somebody. Well, to other people in the room, we probably freaked them out because Tracy and I were on the same page. She ran out the front door and I ran through the side door into the restaurant it's connected to see if there were any children there. You know, the rest of them are looking around like, should we run too? Where are they running from? And we didn't, they said, there were no children anywhere around. Fast forward to not too long ago, we always do a dowsing rod session at the very end of that ghost walk. And it's, quite a distance away from that, from the Green Gothic. But there's a lot of times there's a little girl there with us. Like we'll pick it up on the dowsing rods. And we had a psychic medium come on the walk one night. And I tell you, I'm not tuned in. I'm trying to remember what I'm supposed to be saying. So I'm not tuned into what's going on around me, psychically. But he said, "You have a little girl here." And he said, "This little girl comes from the Green Gothic." He said, "She likes listening to you, so she follows you sometimes." And it was like eye-opening. It was like, well, that would make sense. She's, has free will. She can go where she wants to go. Well, one of my other tour guides and friend, Donna, decided to bring her SLS camera on the ghost walk last week, one day, Thursday, I believe it was. We had a small group and we thought, it'd be fun to play with it and just see what happens. Well, we were in one of the locations and a child shows up on the screen and was sticking right next to me. And then as I was continuing my presentation, it actually got up on my head, was like dancing around on my head. And I have to wonder if that was her. So we're still learning her story and who she is. And eventually we're hoping she'll talk to us. So it's just fun. I mean, we have a good time. We laugh. We talk ghosts. We talk history. There's something for everybody. The architecture. We've got a place called the Roofless Church here, which you would love. It's an open-air, non-denominational church. It's fenced in with a high brick wall, and it has a dome in the middle with a very holy statue beneath it. But the whole place is full of gardens, and they're uplit at night, casting interesting shadows. And so we walk them through there, not because it's haunted, just because it looks so cool.
Yeah.
We just have a good time, the whole thing. We have a great time.
What do you hear about? I hear this a lot. I don't know if you've heard this, and if you have, what's your take on it? And I'm like you. Whenever I encounter human spirits, I always encourage them. Remind, in case you didn't know, you're dead.
Yeah.
And you now belong to the ages. You don't belong here. You need to go where you as a spirit, where you belong.
Mm-hmm.
Some people in our field believe that the longer these human spirits hang around, if they choose to end up staying at a location as a ghost, that over time they tend to become a little malevolent. Do you buy into that, or what's your take on that when I even say that to you?
It resonates with me. I mean, how many times can you be asked what your favorite color is before you start getting a little angry, right?
Yeah.
Especially some of these locations that are over and over and over investigated. I think maybe I wouldn't call them malevolent. I'd call them grumpy, and maybe for a good reason. They're grumpy. They're tired of the investigators, and that could be possible. But I do think that the longer they are earthbound, the less likely they're going to be able to move on. And sometimes they think they're stuck, or maybe there's something there that's telling them that they're not allowed to leave, that's holding them in place, even though it really can't, I don't think, hold them in place. But it's the conception. It's like people in real life. Some people are very susceptible to suggestion. And, you know, if you told a person you're not allowed to leave this building, if you will, you'll have bad luck for the next 50 years, you know, they may not leave, you know, pass that on to a dead person. And I think it's even worse. So, you know, I don't know. I think it really varies, but that does resonate with me.
Halloween just around the corner. I would imagine. Well, I could be wrong, but I would imagine your ghost tour picks up around Halloween. Halloween, harmless Halloween. The you know I as far back as I can remember, I've always loved Halloween and celebrated Halloween. But I worked a case once, and this is the question that Alice K from New Jersey asked. I'm a Catholic. I love Halloween. I love to celebrate it. Is it okay as a Catholic to do that? I worked a case once where I walked, as soon as we walked in, I was with a pastor, and the pastor said immediately, this lady was fanatical about Halloween. Her house was plastered wall to wall, ceiling to floor with Halloween decorations year round. Loved Halloween. God fearing person, a Christian. Was She was a doctor, not a bad person. But as soon as we walked in, the pastor said immediately, "It's all of this stuff that brought." We didn't even know what we were up against uh, yet, but immediately the pastor said, "It's all of this stuff brought that in." What do you How do you feel about Halloween, and do you think there's you know addressing my viewers' question and Halloween in general, the good and the bad side of Halloween, harmless Halloween? What do you think? What are you feeling when I lay all of that on you?
Well, I do believe that the veil thins in the month of October, and it gets thinner and thinner as it gets closer to Halloween. And I believe that that's when it's the thinnest. So I feel like they can come back and forth a little bit easier. And I also think that people are thinking about it a lot. So it doesn't necessarily matter what kind of decorations you have up. I mean, you can see behind me, I've got all kinds of creepy stuff back there, and that's not Halloween decorations. That's normal decorations, and they're up year round. I don't think it draws in anything else. I mean, basically, I live, you know, 1 foot in the paranormal world and 1 foot out. But I think Halloween is a fun holiday, and I think it brings a lot of joy. It's my favorite. You know, it's a holiday that you're not expected to buy a gift, and there's no preamble. You know, you can kind of do what you want to. If you want to decorate, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And you give candy to kids. And, you know, I don't think, I think it's almost its own thing. It's not tied to anything malicious or negative. But I feel like the veil thinning and us watching all the spooky movies that we do, and, you know, I think that kind of opens your antenna a little bit when you're watching something like that, or, you know, getting into more of the paranormal aspect. You know, you're scaring yourself, and that fear goes out there and it draws them in. So, you know, it depends on your aspect. To me, it's totally worth it though.
Have you ever heard I don't know if you have or not. Have you ever heard the legend of the jack o' lantern?
Probably at one point, but I don't remember it now.
I don't remember the gentleman's name. I know his first name was Jack, and goes back to old Irish folklore. And I think it was a card game that he was playing with the devil, and he tricked him. And so when it came finally time for Jack to pass on, because he had done some things, other things with the devil involved, God wouldn't let him into heaven, but he didn't want to go to hell either. And the devil was right hot on his heels. But he was banished to roam the netherworld in the darkness. So to light his way, he had a carved out turnip with a coal in it, a burning coal in it, and that's how when the Irish came here to America. I also didn't know that pumpkins were indigenous to our country. I thought they were all over the world. But when the Irish immigrants saw the pumpkins, they thought those will make much better jack o' lanterns than the turnips. But I thought, because I don't get kids here any longer, because over we've lived here over 20 years, and everybody in the neighborhood knows this is the haunted house. So kids stopped coming to trick or treat here. But I thought one year I would bake a bunch of soul cakes, and I would try to attempt to make my very best, authentic jack o' lantern out of a carved out turnip with the coal in it. And I would go around like they do in old back in the day in Europe, and I would go to door and hand out for Halloween these soul cakes. The wife talked me out of it because she said everybody already thinks we're the freaky old ghost people here in the neighborhood. There's no way, that you're gonna just freak some people out if you do that. So she talked me out of it. But do you do anything special, different on Halloween that you wouldn't just normally do?
I do a ghost walk. I used to love sitting on my porch and handing out candy. And I have a black cat named George, and he loves to hang out. He loves the trick or treaters. He goes, walks down, and greets each one. And of course, they're all like, "Oh, it's a black cat," you know. Now I'm off doing a ghost walk. I've been doing them for 5 years now, and I really didn't do Halloween. Like I gave myself that night off. I thought, everybody they can do it on any other night. This is my night off. But we started getting a lot of interest in it, so I've been doing them the last few years. So I leave a bucket of candy outside for them. I decorate. This year. I think I came up with something pretty clever. So my friend Ben had given me like a life-size skeleton and I named him Bob, bag of bones Bob. And I had an old lawnmower and I pulled it out front in my front yard and I propped Bob up like he was mowing the yard. And I
Yeah.
put a Haunted New Harmony t-shirt and hat on him. And I have a skeleton cat that I call Fluffy. And I put Fluffy on the lawnmower. And so, it got a little bit of attention until the wind kept knocking Bob over. Now he's back in the backyard. So it was a short lived decoration. But I used to love decorating. I would make the graveyard in my front yard and I would do all kinds of stuff. Now I'm so busy with ghost walks or recovering from ghost walks because they take a lot out of you that I just don't have the time or energy to do much anymore. But I love the holiday. I'm watching all those scary movies every minute I get.
It's just I try not to watch the news too much, but I happened to flip on this one station this morning and I saw this newsman who's a little on the political side. He was talking about, well, because of the recession and the inflation now, he was warning kids, parents and kids, this Halloween, don't be surprised when you knock on a door that the people charge you for the candy. I'm like, come on. Um, you have, I know we can't talk about it much, but it ties into one of your books, and it's now going to be a 90-minute film, and you have a part in it. And the film is called Dead Hot: Season of the Witch.
That's
We don't know
correct.
the exact release date, and we can't really talk any more about it. But are you excited for it? And are you happy that you did the project?
Oh, absolutely. I was beyond excited. So it filmed in Massachusetts, and they will tell you that on the preview on their website. But I was especially excited because it came in a really good time. I just was not financially able to drive back or fly back and see my kids this year. And I have two grown children and grandchildren that live in Massachusetts. And I had already passed the news on to my kids. I said, I can't make it this year. And then out of the blue, this producer contacted me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of this project. And it filmed literally right there. So they flew me in. They put me up for a couple nights. I ended up staying a couple days longer, so I could spend some time with my family up there and friends. Still have a lot of friends in Massachusetts, and then came back. And so, the bonus is, I got to go see my kids, when I wasn't going to be
Yeah.
able to. And then I also get to be on a TV show, or a movie. Now it started off being a TV show. Now it's a 90-minute unscripted paranormal journey. So
So
I'm
cool.
really, I'm really excited to see how they did it. It's no secret that Vanessa Hudgens is the woman there with the white tank top on, and that's her friend Gigi. and they worked together. So, and they were really wonderful to work with. They were sweet. Vanessa's just as beautiful in person as she is on TV, or maybe more so, and just very sweet and down to earth. So, I can't wait to see what they do. I can't talk a lot about details, but I can tell you it filmed at the S.K. Pierce Haunted Victorian Mansion that I wrote the book Bones in the Basement about. So I was really excited about that. I got to hang out with my good friend Marion Luoma, and it was a good time.
I'm so excited for you. I can't wait. I'll keep my eyes out for it when it comes out. I'm gonna watch it. I can't wait. I'm very excited for you. And so the latest book, I got it. You got to give a shout out to your latest book. We got a few minutes left. I know you have a latest book out. I just
I
don't know
do.
that I didn't get a chance to go to the website and look at it. So talk to us about that.
Haunted Posey County. So it's my first
A
traditionally
haunted book.
published haunted book. Go figure. It's my first traditionally published book. So the History Press reached out to me. They had read some of my other books and asked me if I would write this book. And I was, blown away. I'm like, how many years I spent, going to publishers, and they kept telling me, no, sorry. So it encompasses the county I live in, which includes the town I'm in. There's 3 stories about New Harmony. It also talks about Mount Vernon, which is the county seat, next town over. There's stories about Poseyville and Saval, and there's just a lot of stories in there. And it was fun because I got to tell other people's stories, and some of them are crazy. There was one location where I just couldn't get any stories about it. It was called Hovey House, and it's now used for county offices. And then I get a message from someone that says Judge Travis Clowers would like to talk to you. He has a story for you. And I called, and literally the judge himself invited me over to do a tour and gave me all kinds of great stories, introduced me to the people there that had stories in this building. And so I feel like that gives me some cred,
Oh
having
yeah.
a judge in the book. But some of the other stories are just fantastic. Locations I've always wondered about, and once I got in there and really started talking to people about them, I got some amazing stories. And of course, the history. I am always going to include the history in a haunted story, because to me that has a lot to do with the haunting. What was there before? What happened there before? How this all began often will tell a tale on its own. So there's some history there, even a history the locals didn't know about. So it's a fun book. It's got some great spooky stories in it. So
I bet. Wow, that's so cool. I'd never had a judge reach it. Well, I've had some dealings with judges back in the day, but um, anything. I got a few minutes left before I have to kick you out of here. I've got a couple of minutes, and I always give every guest an opportunity to do this. And it's not out of being malicious or anything or calling anybody out, but is there anything you would like to rant about?
no, no, I really steer clear of drama. I really do. The minute I start getting a hint of it, I'm like, peace out, because I don't want to surround that myself with that. I try to
No.
keep my vibration high. All my friends are positive and funny and maybe a little dark, but in a good way. Um, no, I really don't have anything to rant about. I do my own thing. I have, family, friends, and pets. I love my pets. And I now have a TikTok, so I wish people would find me over there. I've been posting a lot of paranormal videos and spiritual videos, and of course, animal videos. So it's just JONI MAYHAN 933 if anybody wants to find me there. I'm hoping to get enough followers so I can start going live and stuff. But it's been fun. I just try to have fun. I try to keep things positive. I just do my thing. That's it.
That's what I love about you. I think in all the years that I've known you, never once have I remotely even seen you just any weirdness around you, any drama at all. When the paranormal community is so full of it. I mean, I don't remember even growing up and following some of the like real famous old time ghost hunters. Sure, there were some people that thought they were wackos, and skeptics, diehard skeptics, and other people. They ran into some of that, but uh, there seemed to be a lot more camaraderie between people that were truly passionate about investigating the paranormal and ghost hunting and ghost busting and all that sort of stuff. And over a long, long period of time, it seems to have developed into this just really. You got to be careful in our field because it
Mhm.
seems like we're drowning in drama, and you really have to work to avoid getting drug into it.
I stepped away a couple years ago. I used to go to all the paracons. I used to travel in those circles, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people. But I just realized that everybody was trying very hard to get a TV gig, and it was everybody was stabbing each other in the back, and if you did something great, nobody believed you, or I don't know. It just got to be too much, and I'm like, I don't want any part of that. So I really stopped going to the paracons and kind of put my focus locally. I'm like, I'm going to throw all that energy into my little business here, and now have 5 tour guides. So we're doing ghost walks almost year round, and
Wow.
I write my books. I'm getting ready to. I'm waiting for ghost walk season to end, but I'm going to start another Shelby and Fugly book, which everybody's been on me about. I have 2 of them out there. So people keep asking me, when's the 3rd one coming? So I've already got the title and the first sentence, which is what I need, and a general idea where it's going. So that will be what I do in November. So that's it.
Well, God bless you. You know I love you. You know I respect you. You're always on the prayer list. Um, I'm, I don't even have to tell you you're going to be back because I always reach out to you I try to reach out to you more than I used to get you
Yeah.
back. Everybody loves having you on here, and I appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy Monday evening to spend with me and my paranormal ministry family. God bless you. Um, do you just stay you, and you're just so cool. And have a very happy and safe Halloween.
You too.
You deserve all the best, and I will be throwing some dates at you before you know it. Begging you to come back.
Anytime, anytime. I love being on your show. You're so easy to talk to. And the fact that you research, everything. Yeah, it's like, picking up where we left off. So,
Yeah.
you know,
All righty. You have a great evening. I'll be
you
talking
too.
to you
All
soon.
right. All right.
All righty. Okay, guys, you can go follow her back home. Go. My dream catcher moving? No, it's been kind of still. Yeah, it's been kind of still today. Okay. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in too, because I don't have a show without you guys. I love all of you too, and you all are on the prayer list. Don't forget to go and check out communitypayitforward.us. Communitypayitforward.us. Donate to the hurricane relief. If you need a little more God in your life, and who couldn't use a little more God in your life, the United States Old Catholic Church, Bishop James Long, has night prayer every weeknight, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific. It's on Spreaker, so if you want to sign in and you can go into the chat room, put your prayer request in there, and we'll offer prayer up for you. And I always have the link on my personal Facebook page, or you just go to usocc.org. Bishop James Long of the USOCC also has Bible study every Wednesday afternoon and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific. That is a great time. You can also catch the link to that on usocc.org. That's a YouTube Live, Facebook Live event. And I always have the link to that on my personal Facebook page too. So that's a good time. I got some people I want to thank here real quick. Before I do that, I will be here this coming Friday. Ooh, we're getting close to Halloween now. This Friday, October 21st, the one and only Solaris Blue Raven will be here. That's going to be a great show. I want to thank Zach and Adrian Clayton, my co-producers. I want to thank Things Network. I want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. I want to thank Skeleton Key Network. I want to thank PACT, little p, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, for all of these networks simulcasting my show. Thank you, and God bless you all for that. It's bad joke time. My poor effort at putting a smile on everybody's face before I say good night. And these are jokes I pull out of a hat sent in by one of you. Okay. How can you find Will Smith in the snow? Follow the Fresh Prince. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.